Right now, I'm going to swap out this might minus 50. Actually, let's get rid of the mana. I'm gonna get rid of the mana first. So let's access it. Now, once we decide to access it, we can't back out, so we have to choose a slot. And notice how it says only slots 1 and 2 I can select. That's because it doesn't even consider this Fortitude, this gray slot, to even be a real slot, even though it takes up technically it takes up a slot. You can have there's only 6 slots available in each dungeon, but this gray slot is taking up 1 slot, so we can really only decide between the red effects here. And so we want to get rid of that mana minus 100%. That's because that's really nasty. So we're going to access slot 1 and swap it out, and then a battle will ensue. And here's the battle. Alright. And these are just some regular enemies of the dungeon that you can encounter just by just randomly roaming around. So let me go ahead and get rid of these guys. And oh, I died here. Yeah. Well, you know what? Since this is the dev build or the dev version, I still get the effect anyway, even though I died. When actually, because my computer's a little bit slow, when I'm recording, the frame rate, as you can probably tell, isn't that great. And then when you're trying to time your attacks, it can be a little tricky. So this game isn't going to be very favorable to people who have slower rigs. Like when I'm not recording, it runs just fine. And this is like a lower to mid-range computer. So if you don't plan on doing anything fancy like recording anything or having anything processor intensive in the background, then you should be okay. It's like 90% of the time it runs smoothly on a decent like a mid-range rig. So just keep that in mind. So yeah, if I screw up here and there, it's mainly because of the low frame rate. All right, so now let's access this brilliance minus 50, and let's swap it out for the might minus 50%. All right, we got our abyss shards there, as you can see, and we immediately have a Zeta armament that you just saw there. We got 3 of a kind of that fire spell. Now we're taking on like some weak enemies. These guys aren't very strong, like I said. I mean, actually, this enemy here is a little bit tough. He's the one that killed me. He's actually the version 2 of those goblins, so he can be a little tougher than if you're unprepared, not careful. And I'm just using a very basic deck right now, nothing too fancy. And this Griffin enemy is pretty easy, pretty straightforward. He's not tough. He's dead. And here's a second wave of enemies I have to take out. And again, they're not too tough, so I'll just finish them off. And when you're inside this dungeon, you'll most likely collect some really good cards that you can swap out of your deck. That'll make these battles a lot more, they'll go by a lot more smoothly. Of course, I got a D rank there, but over the course of the dungeon, I'll get some better items. In fact, actually forgot to do something right quick. Just ignore that, what I just did there. Alright. Let me use an item. And I'm going to heal myself, and this is actually the item screen right here. And you can equip, well, not equip, but you can use like items that, like, you know, restore your HP. You regen HP and mana after each battle, 40%. Fully restores HP and mana. Starts each battle with Overdrive. I'm about to showcase Overdrive in a second. Access Core. This is, if you play Mega Man Battle Network, then this is basically Unlocker. There's locked data that you can find throughout the Astral Network when you're roaming around, and you use these to unlock them and get the item inside. And usually there's a really valuable item inside of those. Safety Core. Now these are actually really useful in dungeons. When actually, I'll activate this now just so I can showcase that. Hunting Core. This is if you play Mega Man Battle Network, this is lock enemy. What this does is that when you fight an enemy and you defeat them, if you use this right after the battle, it'll make that enemy encounter repeat. And this is very useful when you're trying to track down some of the harder bosses in the game, because if you go to certain areas, certain bosses that you've defeated will they'll become random encounters, and sometimes you want to track them down so you can get their cards or get a high score against them, and this is very useful for that. Stealth. This basically makes it so it prevents random encounters 20 times, it says, and this one forces random encounters, so you'll always get random encounters with this. So yeah, these are like all the items in the game. Some of these you can buy from the shops or whatever. Actually, eventually, you have access to all these too, just going to a shop in a specific location in the game. Oh wait, let me actually use what I came in this menu for. Alright, so now this is Weapon Arts plus 50%. We want this because Weapon Arts includes all of our regular attacks. Like for this weapon here, we have so everything you see here, these are our Weapon Arts. And our regular attack, when she's just firing pellets like a Mega Buster. The charge shot that you probably noticed, that's a Weapon Art. It's basically an attack that's germane to the class that you're using. That's not a card attack. I'll probably go into great detail on that in another devlog, but that's basically what that does. Weapon Arts, and same thing with Overdrive. I'll show off the Overdrive in a second. So yeah, let's go ahead and access this so we have some power. So you can hit a little harder. Alright. And got some goblins to fight. Now I'm about to use my Overdrive right now. Alright, we got a second wave. This is a big chunky guy, but he's gone. And the reason why he went down so easily is because my Overdrive, it built up my combo really high, and because my combo was multiplied, it multiplied my damage, mainly my Weapon Arts damage. He went down pretty easily, and yeah. So let's see. This effect here, this is no white cards. This is actually, and as you can see, this is the red swords. So this is a very tough battle. And as you can see, right above the crystal, that's a 250 abyss shards. That's a really nice reward, but this is a little too demanding right now. Because remember, like when you're inside here, you can't save at all. So you really have to be careful with the decisions you make when it comes to these crystal effects. And also there's some treasure chests here. And guess what? I have mimics in this game. So you always want to be careful when you're opening chests. However, I did put a caveat in where pay attention to the color of this chest. Because mimics, you'll be able to distinguish between a mimic and a regular chest, because the mimic chest, they're much brighter and they have a higher color saturation. So really pay close attention to the sprite. You can tell, oh, this is a mimic chest, or oh, this is a regular chest. That way, you won't get caught off guard too much. You really pay close attention, because the mimics in this game are extremely powerful and extremely dangerous. So if you're not prepared, you will get wiped out, especially if you don't have a favorable crystal effects on you. So keep that in mind. But on the flip side, only shekels or gold comes out of the chests that aren't mimics. And I'll showcase what comes out of the chest with mimics in a second.